It is time for Brush Street Beat, brought to you by McLaren Health Care. Let's welcome in FSD's own former Detroit Tiger great, and I mean great, Craig Monroe. It's always great to talk to Craig. Craig, thanks for joining us again here on the Word on Woodward, and especially on the Brush Street Beat. Thanks.
All right, it's great to be on with you, man. I enjoy it every single time. It's a
Well,
beautiful thing.
I, it is a beautiful thing when you have two outstanding human beings like you and me together. It doesn't get much better than that. If I
You know
may
what I
pat
have to
both
do,
of us
though,
on the
Art?
back. Well,
I've got to match your energy, boy. I love the energy here. I love that your energy is like mine. It's matching right now. Let's do it. Looking forward to
well,
it.
when I did play competitive sports at one time, they used to have to calm me down. My coaches would have to calm me down because I was just so amped up to play. But speaking of that, the Tigers right now, a couple of games out of the wild card, 18-21. Rough series in Minnesota. They were competitive, lost a couple of heartbreakers there on walk-offs, but I'm kind of curious. I am pleasantly surprised and encouraged by what I'm seeing from the Tigers this year.
And I think all Tiger fans should be. I think we also are a little surprised, but at the same time, we should be encouraged because we're seeing these young players who's got a year, an extra year on their belt, and we're seeing the progress. We're seeing the progression of what Al Avila and the Tigers are trying to do, build within, and give these young players the opportunity to develop and become, hopefully, a competitive World Series championship team. And so far, they have looked extremely well to me this season.
I agree with you. I wanted to ask you because I mean, you were a young player, then you're one of the crafty veterans in the room there, leading the guys on. It seemed that the addition when Mize and Paredes and Schoolball and to a lesser degree Willie Castro, but he was called up a little bit before those guys. Can you talk about what they've done to that team? Because it really seems to be an influx of enthusiasm as soon as those three arrived.
Well, you're just excited to see Casey Mize. You're excited to see Scooble and Paredes, guys that we've heard so much about and how great they've been in the minor leagues. You wanted to see them in the major leagues, getting a chance to live out that childhood dream, number one. But number two, giving the Tigers the best opportunity to succeed. Now you have a third baseman in Paredes, scuffing a little bit on the offensive side, still making good contact. Maybe not. He's going to hit. If you look at his approach, he has a veteran approach in the batter's box, almost a 1-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio. He does know how to use the opposite field well, and he's also, gets himself in a good hitting position to recognize off-speed pitches. Now, when you start thinking about the staff, the starting staff, yeah, you've got Matthew Boyd, you've got Spencer Turnbull, but Casey Mize kind of scuffling a little bit. But every pitcher, every hitter, you scuffle those first couple outings until you learn how to win at this level. This is a different level than the minor leagues. And you have to be impressed with Tarek Skubal. I mean, Skubal, for me, in this third, fourth outing, he is so relaxed and so comfortable with this blazing 97, 98 mile per hour fastball. I'm looking forward to watching this kid pitch on a day, on every 5 days.
You bring up an interesting point because I'm a big fan of Casey Mize and School. I'm a big fan of the Tigers. Let's be honest here. But what is it because Scooble throws hard? He throws that fastball that he's able to not figure it out so much, but he knows what his out pitch is. It's essentially that fastball. His strikeout ratio is incredible in innings pitch. That he was able to after getting the first jitters out of him. He's like, I'm just gonna challenge these guys. Whereas Mize has an arsenal of pitches, and he's still figuring out how to pitch at the major league level. Where Schoolball's just a flamethrower. That's my assessment. Am I right? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, no, you're spot on, and it's not that Mize is not a flamethrower too. But he's got 95 to 97 with his fastball as well. But he does have more pitches in his arsenal that he. But the only issue that he's had is command. He just hasn't been able
Right.
to command his pitches, which is something that's surprising to all of us here at the major level because this is what he's known for throughout his college career at Auburn and also in the minor leagues. He is a command guy, and unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to command the strike zone as well as he would like to. Now for Scooble, you're right. That 97 mile per hour blazing fastball that he can locate to both sides of the plate, it's been spectacular. I mean, he's got some electric stuff. But what I believe has propelled him first is allowed him. He's relaxed a little bit more. He's comfortable and he
Mhm.
feels like he belongs in the major leagues. Two, if you notice in his last start, he used his off-speed pitches better. He had the changeup working. He had his slider working. This made that fastball that much more effective. And the fact that he's, like you said, you have to get ready to hit that fastball, and then all of a sudden he's changing speeds and with that same arm angle, same arm action, he's going to be tough on most major league lineups. And again, we're looking forward to what Scuba's going to be able to do at the top end of this rotation.
Well, and you look at some of those other young arms that we've heard about. I know Manning and Faedo have been, shut down for the season. But boy, it really looks like there's going to be a lot of fun at Comerica Park here. A lot of good competition too among starting staffs. I mean, this staff is going to be, I think, pretty good in a short period of time. Let's talk about a couple of positional players. Willie Castro, who I'm going to talk to a little bit later today. I exaggerate, Craig. You know that. So, but he's almost been a little bit of a he's been a little bit of a godsend, and so is Victor Reyes as a Rule 5 guy. I mean, these are
Rule
two
five,
really
yeah.
quality, yeah, good, really good quality ball players for the Tigers.
They really are, and they're mature too from a baseball standpoint beyond their years. These guys have a really good understanding of what they want to do are in the batter's box. They're very comfortable hitting with two strikes. A lot of young players, you're jumpy in the batter's box with two strikes. You don't know the strike zone as well. You chase pitches out of the strike zone. Well, these guys, because of their approach, the way they stay inside the baseball, if you watch their bats, they never really allow the hands to go away from the body. That's a weak position for hitters. That means you're going to be going around the baseball. These guys really do a great job of leading with the knob and keeping their hands inside the baseball, which allows them to be able to hit to all fields. They're spraying the ball from left center to right center from both sides of this plate. These guys are special when it comes to an offensive standpoint. And defensively, Victor Reyes has taken tremendous strides, and he can play right, center, left. He's kind of slowed himself down a little bit. He's more under control. And we're going to get a chance to see Willie Castro play shortstop. And it's unfortunate for Nico Goodrum, but this is baseball. This is a result-oriented business. I believe Willie Castro is going to get the bulk of the playing time at shortstop, and he's earned it.
Another guy that I was a big fan of. I remember, when Word on Woodward first started, I said, "Is this a make or break year?" I asked everybody if Jamer Candelario. I mean, he's had to play
Oh,
first base, which is not his natural position. I mean, he can't give any more than he's giving right now. I mean, I'm so happy for him. It looks like Candelario has finally turned it around a little bit.
he has. And you know what? He looks more like the player that when we traded away Avila and we traded away Justin Wilson to get Candelario from the Cubs. He was very patient. He knew himself extremely well, and he kind of got away from that because they tried to get him to start hitting more home runs. Well, when you try to hit home runs, I mean, for you guys that don't know, when you try to hit home runs, it makes you a worse hitter. It makes you a bad hitter because your front side, your head flies out, and you're susceptible to the breaking ball. Well, if you watch him now, he's so much more patient in the batter's box. He's not expanding the strike zone. He also, from both sides of the plate, is showing the ability to not only hit the ball out of the ballpark, but he's driving those good pitches the opposite way from left-handed side and the right-handed side. I couldn't be more excited from him because he is probably the nicest guy on the team. He works his tail off, and the fact that he's reaping the rewards for all of his hard work, man, it's exciting to see Candy get into this kind of groove. And I think this is something that he's going to be able to sustain.
There's so many players I really want to talk about. We're running out of time, Craig. I want to move to the bullpen just because, unfortunately, Joe Jimenez has had a little bit of struggle here lately. You know, the whole thing with Sano, which I don't really want to get into, but I am
Right.
curious. Do you think Soto is eventually going to be the closer on this team? Or, Ron Gardenhire said it's going to be closer by committee because they're still in this. They're going to have to settle themselves down in the bullpen.
Well, I think the luxury that the Tigers have is they have 3 to 4 guys that are flamethrowers in the back end of their bullpen. They've got Gary Soto. They have a Joe Jimenez who has struggled a little bit. Soto struggled too in his last outing as well. But you got guys like Brian Garcia who stepped up. Listen, there's another game name that we're not talking about. It's Funkhauser too. Funkhauser in the back
Right,
end throwing
right.
95 to 97 with his fastball. He can get those tough last three outs as well. So I think that the Tigers are in a really unique situation to where they're going to be able to mix and match. If they feel like a lot of lefties are coming up in that third inning, I think you do have to go to Soto and let that lefty on lefty. And that's a tough matchup. So the Tigers right now are in a good spot having several guys at the back end of the bullpen that can get it done.
Craig, they're still in it. They're still in the wild card hunt. This week they have a couple of with Milwaukee beginning tonight. Then they go to St. Louis and play them a couple of times, and then it's just AL Central from here on out.
Yeah.
What will the Tigers? They're still in it, but they're running out of games. That's what happens in a 60-game schedule. How do they turn it around, Craig?
Well, I think the way they're going to turn it around is it's going to start with pitching. They have to pitch. Matthew Boyd and Spencer Turnbull, they are the leaders. They are the veterans of this staff. They have to produce. They have to pitch deep into the ball game, get us to that back end to where now we're able to go to guys like Buck Former. You're able to get the baseball to Gary Soto and Joe Jimenez, especially the way these guys have pitched throughout this whole season. They had a little rough spot there in Minnesota, but for the most part, if you look at this bullpen, Art, they have pitched probably better than most of us thought they would. And that, for
That's
me,
true.
from a Tiger standpoint, is very exciting. So I'm hoping that these guys can get right back on track and keep this thing rolling.
Right, and then Miggy's playing well, so I mean, things look good. Craig, we're running out of time, but I want to say first of all, love the shirt. You're my fashion idol. Your outfits on Fox Sports Detroit are exceptional, and even though Matt Shepard is a very very good friend of mine, I've known him longer than I care to admit. I think you're actually going to come back and win Pick the Stick again.
Oh, you know what? I'm on him. I'm on him right now. And Art, I appreciate you appreciating my fashion. It's fun. It's exciting. It's kind of just every day try to find something different, something that I can unique that I can put together and try to be entertaining. So I can appreciate you appreciating the fashion sense that I have. Thank you very
Well, I
much.
enjoy your. Well, I enjoyed you as a player. Obviously, I really enjoy your work on Fox Sports Detroit. You're one of the best, Craig. Open invitation. Heck, when we can start hanging out, I'm going to invite you to my house, and I don't do that very
All
often.
right.
So,
That sounds good, Art. I mean, Shep may not be happy about that. He might be a little jealous, though. I might take his friend from him. So I don't know. We might have to talk it over with Shep. We'll have to talk it
all
over
right,
with Shep.
all right, we definitely will. Craig, always great to catch up with you. Continued success on Fox Sports Detroit, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Thanks for joining us on the Brush Street Beat.
All right. Sounds good, Art. Thanks for having me.
That is the Brush Street Beat, brought to you by McLaren Health Care. Daniela?